Ever wondered how to make the perfect apple pie? Let's embark on a culinary journey together, exploring the humble beginnings of this beloved dessert. With roots tracing back to Europe, the apple pie has evolved in countless kitchens, becoming a symbol of comfort and simplicity. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the simplest ingredients can create the most mouth-watering dishes. So, are you ready to join the ranks of countless home cooks who have perfected this classic? Stick around to unveil the secret recipe to a delicious apple pie. A perfect apple pie starts with choosing the right ingredients. Our pie's heart and soul are the apples. Granny Smith apples are a popular choice for their tartness and firmness, which hold up well during baking. We'll also need all-purpose flour and cold, unsalted butter for that flaky golden crust. Sugar, of course, to sweeten the deal, and a pinch of salt to balance the flavors. Now for our secret ingredients: a squeeze of fresh lemon juice to brighten the apple flavor, and a dash of ground cinnamon for that warm, comforting aroma we all love in an apple pie. And let's not forget a touch of nutmeg, which adds a delicate, sweet warmth. Each ingredient plays a vital role, contributing to the pie's texture, flavor, and overall yumminess. With all these ingredients ready, we're set to start the pie-making process. The foundation for our apple pie is the crust, a crucial part of the pie. Creating the perfect pie crust can seem like a daunting task, but with a little patience and practice, you'll soon be rolling out dough like a pro. Let's begin with the ingredients: all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, a hint of sugar, and of course, a generous helping of chilled, unsalted butter. The butter is key here as it's responsible for the flaky, tender texture of our crust. Start by combining your dry ingredients in a large bowl. Then, cut your chilled butter into small pieces and add it to the mix. Using your fingers, work the butter into the flour until the mixture resembles coarse breadcrumbs. This takes a bit of elbow grease, but trust me, it's worth it. Next, sprinkle in some ice-cold water, just a little at a time, mixing with a fork until the dough begins to come together. You're looking for a consistency that's not too wet and not too dry, just enough to hold together when pinched. Now, onto the fun part: kneading the dough. Lightly flour your work surface and turn out your dough. Remember, we're not making bread here, so be gentle. A light touch is essential. Knead just until the dough comes together into a cohesive ball. Once your dough is ready, wrap it in plastic and let it rest in the refrigerator for about 1 hour. This chilling time allows the gluten in the dough to relax, resulting in a more tender crust. Plus, it makes the dough easier to roll out. Rolling out the dough is a bit of an art, but don't be intimidated. Remember to keep your work surface and rolling pin well floured to prevent sticking. Roll out your dough into a circle that's about 2 inches larger than your pie plate. And there you have it, a beautifully prepared pie crust, ready to cradle our delicious apple filling. Once you've rolled out your dough, it's time to turn our attention to the pie star ingredient: apples. Scene script: apples are the heart and soul of this pie, so let's give them the attention they deserve. Imagine biting into a slice of apple pie, and the first thing that hits you is the warm, luscious apple filling, perfectly balanced between sweet and tart. That's what we're aiming for here, folks. The apple filling is the star of the show, and it's essential to get it right. So let's start with selecting the right apples. You want a mix of tart and sweet apples. Granny Smiths are a great choice for their tartness, while Honeycrisp or Fuji apples can add that perfect hint of sweetness. Once you've picked your apples, it's time to peel them. Hold the apple firmly and use a vegetable peeler to remove the skin in long, even strokes. Try to keep as much of the apple flesh intact as possible. Next, we move on to coring and slicing the apples. Cut your apple in half and then into quarters. Use a sharp knife to cut out the core from each quarter, then slice them into thin, even pieces. The thinner your apple slices, the quicker they cook, and the more evenly your pie will bake. Now, it's time to spice things up. Add your apple slices to a bowl and sprinkle in some sugar, cinnamon, and a pinch of nutmeg. These spices will infuse our apple filling with warmth and depth of flavor. Toss everything together until the apples are coated with the sugar and spices. Finally, let's add a little twist to our apple filling. Squeeze in some fresh lemon juice. The lemon juice will not only keep the apples from browning, but it will also enhance their tartness, balancing out the sweetness of the sugar and spices. Give everything one last good stir, and there you have it, folks. Your apple filling, bursting with flavors, is ready to be tucked into our pie crust. With our apple filling ready, It's time to bring together all the elements. Now comes the fun part, assembling our apple pie. First off, let's take our pie dish and line it with our beautifully prepared crust. You'll want to gently press it into the bottom and up the sides of the dish. There's no need to rush this process. Like a cozy blanket, the crust should fit snugly into the dish, creating a sturdy base for our delicious apple filling. Speaking of which, it's time to introduce our filling to its crusty new home. Try to spread the apple filling evenly across the crust, making sure every nook and cranny is filled with apple goodness. You'll want to avoid overfilling the pie, as tempting as it may be. Too much filling can lead to a soggy bottom, and we certainly don't want that. Once our filling is nicely settled, it's time to introduce the top crust. You can lay it flat across the top for a classic look, or if you're feeling creative, why not try a lattice or braided design? Whichever you choose, remember to gently press the top crust onto the filling. This will help meld the two layers together, ensuring a pie that's not only delicious, but structurally sound. Now, to make sure our pie bakes evenly and doesn't end up with a soggy top, we're going to need to make some vent slits. These little openings allow steam to escape during baking, and they also add a touch of artistic flair to our pie. You can make a simple X, a few parallel lines, or get creative with patterns or shapes. Finally, before we finish, let's seal the deal. Press the edges of the top and bottom crust together, then crimp them with a fork or your fingers. This not only gives our pie a beautiful finished edge, but it also helps keep the filling contained during baking. Our pie is assembled and ready for the oven. With the promise of sweet aromas and mouth-watering flavors just minutes away, the anticipation is half the fun. So let's move on to the next step where the magic truly happens. The final step in our journey to the perfect apple pie is baking and serving. So let's dive right in. First things first, preheat your oven to a toasty 375 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the optimal temperature for baking apple pies, as it ensures a crisp and golden crust, with perfectly cooked, tender apples inside. While your oven is preheating, take a moment to admire your assembled pie. Isn't it a beauty? Now let's get it ready for the oven. You'll want to place your pie on a baking sheet to catch any drips and prevent a messy oven. Once the oven is ready, slide your pie in and set your timer for 50 minutes. Now, don't wander too far away. Keep an eye on your pie as it bakes. You're looking for that golden brown crust and bubbling filling that tells you it's done. A good tip is to rotate your pie halfway through the bake to ensure even browning. So, your timer has beeped and your pie looks done. But how can you be sure? Here's a little trick. Insert a knife into the center of the pie. If it slides in easily with little resistance, your apples are cooked and your pie is done. Now, patience is key. Let your pie cool for at least 2 hours. This allows the filling to set and makes for easier slicing. I know it's a test of willpower, but trust me, it's worth it. When it's finally time to serve, warm your pie slightly in the oven. This will awaken all those delicious flavors. Slice a generous piece and serve with a dollop of whipped cream or a scoop of vanilla ice cream. The contrast of the warm pie with the cold cream or ice cream is truly divine. There you have it. Your perfect apple pie is ready to be enjoyed. I hope you're as excited to taste it as I am to have shared this recipe with you. Remember, the magic of baking is in the joy it brings to you and those you share it with. So go ahead, serve up some happiness with your perfect apple pie. So, there you have it, the perfect recipe for a classic apple pie. From revealing the ingredients to preparing the crust and the apple filling, assembling the pie, and finally baking it to perfection, each step is crucial. Remember, the quality of your ingredients plays a big role in the final taste. The apple pie is not just a dessert, it's a labor of love, a testament to your culinary prowess. Now, it's your turn to bake the perfect apple pie. Happy baking!